for a good reason. We had a lovely meeting with His Excellency, the Foreign Minister. We had a chance to talk about how, under the leadership of King Mohammed Sadis, we're making the already strong U.S.-Morocco bilateral relationship an even stronger strategic partnership. This comes as we are commemorating the bicentennial of the first U.S. diplomatic mission in Morocco, the Tangier American Legation, and celebrating over 200 years of friendship between our two countries. Of course, our bilateral relations are even older than that, dating back to the independence of the United States, when Morocco was the first country to recognize our fledgling country. We appreciate Morocco's continuous and valuable support on issues of common interest, such as peace in the Middle East, stability, security, and development across the region and the entire continent of Africa. We're working together to defeat the pandemic. Just this past weekend, the United States provided more than 300,000 Johnson & Johnson vaccines to Morocco. These one-shot vaccines will boost the kingdom's already very successful vaccination campaign. We've also invested more than $15 million in Morocco's COVID-19 response, working with the Ministry of Health and other partners to raise awareness about the virus and to train healthcare workers, study the effectiveness of different vaccines, and provide laboratory equipment and supplies. This past weekend, we were also excited to see the inaugural commercial flight between Tel Aviv and Marrakesh. The United States welcomes Morocco's steps to improve relations with Israel, because this relationship will have long-term benefits for both countries. We also appreciate Morocco's continuous support for the UN's efforts in Libya, and its support for removing all foreign forces from that country in preparation for preparation for successful nationwide elections, an essential step towards a stable, unified, and democratic Libya. On Western Sahara, we support a credible UN-led political process to stabilize the situation and secure a cessation of all hostilities. We're consulting with the parties about how best to bring about a halt to the violence and ultimately achieve a lasting settlement. We strongly support UN efforts to appoint a personal envoy of the Secretary of Nationwide Elections, an essential step towards a stable, unified, and democratic Libya. On Western Sahara, we support a credible UN-led political process to stabilize the situation and secure a cessation of all hostilities. We're consulting with the parties about how best to bring about a halt to the violence and ultimately achieve a lasting settlement. We strongly support UN efforts to appoint a personal envoy of the Secretary General for Western Sahara as quickly as possible. We are prepared to be actively engaged with all sides in support of that person. Morocco is also a close partner with the United States on a range of security issues. It participates in more than 100 military engagements with us every year, including African Lion, the largest annual U.S. military exercise on the African continent. And this exercise returned to Morocco last month after a one-year hiatus because of the pandemic. Last year, we signed a 10-year roadmap for defense cooperation, which is a symbol of our long-term strategic cooperation. Morocco is the only country in Africa with which we have every year, including African Lion, the largest annual U.S. military exercise on the African continent. And this exercise returned to Morocco last month after a one-year hiatus because of the pandemic. Last year, we signed a 10-year roadmap for defense cooperation, which is a symbol of our long-term strategic cooperation. Morocco is the only country in Africa with which we have a free trade agreement. And we and our companies see Morocco as a gateway to the continent. This year marks the 15th anniversary of that agreement. Both countries have benefited greatly from it through the creation of thousands of jobs in both countries and a five-fold increase in the volume of our trade to over $5 billion annually. I was happy to learn that over 150 American companies operate here in Morocco. During my visit, I'm excited to have a chance to go to the National Library to see our exhibit about the legation's bicentennial and the deep historical ties between our two countries. This exhibition is free and open to the public and will be on display at the National Library until October, when it will move to the Slawi Foundation in Casablanca. So, get your vaccine as soon as possible.